Hi all, this is a brief tutorial, not tutorial, but a little guide to the first essay. Um, so I just thought I'd talk you through this assignment. Here we are. If you come to assignments, your page of course looks different, but you can find essay number 1 under the assignments tab. It's also linked in places like the module tab. So if you come here, this is the instructions, essay number 1, save me argumentative essay using classical appeals. So let's click on that and open it. That'll open the document. It looks something like this. Some graphics, Homer, of course. I'd like to include a timetable at the top. Pardon me. This tells you which components of the essay are due at which time, and you can go through that. So I always have a proposal, which is more like a brainstorming activity for these papers, and then we always do some peer editing. Editing, of course, is an important process. I include something called a letter to the reader, which I'll explain in another video for that assignment. And then, of course, the final draft. So this paper is a 4-page, at least, paper. You're going to write the topic. If you come down here, there's a little description. So let's go through this. For this essay, I want you to imagine that the end of the world is coming. You can imagine whatever doomsday scenario of your choice. You get to make it up. Some examples, a zombie apocalypse, an asteroid coming to destroy the Earth, nuclear war, I don't know, some kind of contagion that's out of control, or something like the birds where animals go crazy. Whatever you want to do. Let your imagination run wild. Have a little fun with it if you wish. From there, imagine some doomsday scenario. You need to imagine that some people have found a solution or, a safe place to go, some kind of way out of this scenario. Such as a walled safe place, such as the Alexandria safe zone from The Walking Dead, if you're a fan. Spaceship being sent to another world, or in this, as we see if you watch that episode of The Simpsons, where there's an asteroid coming to the Earth, Ned has a bunker that everybody wants to get into. So something like that, some kind of way out of this doomsday scenario. Then you're going to write a 4-page paper arguing why you should be saved from this imaginary doomsday scenario. So why Ned should take you into the bunker, or why they should put you on the spaceship to another planet to save humanity. The point of this whole essay is just to practice using the classical appeals, right? These basic rhetorical techniques, and have a little fun trying to do that. So for this essay, you're going to offer 4 kinds of arguments: argument from kairos, argument from pathos, argument from logos, and argument from ethos. And if those words sound Greek to you, well, they are Greek. Those are Greek words. But you should also review the material in week number 2. I go through all these terms in depth. So please make sure that you're, familiar with those. We'll be practicing those for the first half of the course at least. And this essay is meant to help you practice those as well. So your essay might look something like this. So break down paragraph by paragraph, something like that. This is just an example, right? You don't have to have 2 paragraphs for pathos, 2 separate arguments with pathos, 2 separate arguments for ethos, 2 separate arguments for logos. You don't have to. You should follow your heart and do what you think is necessary, right? Again, the point of this essay is just to practice using the appeals. So when I mark this, I'll be looking, do they clearly and effectively use pathos? Do they clearly and effectively use ethos, kairos, logos, right? So if you can do that 1 paragraph, that's totally cool. That's just a sample. You don't have to go in that order either. Yeah, again, that is just something I put down because some people really like a visual model when they start thinking about how to write an essay. So you can follow that, or you can change it. You can do what you wish with that. I would suggest, however, keeping your arguments separate paragraph by paragraph. Don't mix your ethos and pathos. Of course, sometimes these things mix, but try to keep them separate so that when I'm looking through your paper, it's very clear what you're trying to accomplish in that paragraph. Okay. For this paper, you need to use at least 2 research sources. For the logos section of your essay, you can use them in other sections of your essay, but you do need to use 2 good research sources. They have to come from the Chaffee Library, so these have to be good resources. If you just go online and find something on Google, that's not always the best way to find stuff. So we're going to practice using the Chaffee Library resources. We're going to use them in all our papers this semester, so this is a good start. You need to use at least 2 sources in your paper. Let's see what else. You can use the first and second person perspective in your paper. That's fine for this because it's a personal appeal, at least 4 pages. This is an academic paper, Imagine you're writing this, you're trying to get saved by this group of people, so you want to appeal to them in a formal and respectful manner. So try to avoid informal language and slang. You have to use at least two good sources, as I just talked about. Um, some tips, right? As I mentioned before, don't try not to mix too much of your appeals, just too many of your appeals, just so I can see what you're trying to accomplish. Don't spend too long in your introduction, right? Get to the beginning of, get to the heart of the matter. Don't start with one of those really clunky, since the beginning of humankind's history, we've blah, 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 or whatever, right? Just get right to the heart of it and try to avoid cliche. Try to practice your writing skills by being more precise and avoiding that kind of vague cliche. There's some other tips down here. I'll just, some things to look over as you're finishing your rough draft, and then what you need to include when you turn this paper in. Okay, and then for all the papers for this course, you can get a bonus mark if you take a draft of your paper to the writing center and work on it with a tutor before the due date of the final draft. Right. So if it's due on February 10th, you need to go in before February 10th to work with a tutor. The point is you need to have time to reflect on and make changes in your paper. Okay, so if there's any questions, please just let me know. We can definitely cover any of this material more as a group or individually. And yeah, I hope you have a little fun with this paper. Goodbye.